I have just unlocked probably the most powerful thing you can unlock right now in Raid Shadow Legends. Probably more powerful than pulling a mythical champion, probably more powerful than summoning all of the clan experience across all the realms to try and get yourself one chance at those new clan relics that nobody can get to for 3 years. Of course, what am I talking about is Marius the Gallant's 6-star legendary soul. This cost me an awful lot of souls. It was the most painful experience I did on stream. I actually went and I sold an absolute boatload of these souls to basically make up all of the coins I needed to get 300 essence. I had to trade in for 260 essence, but it was worth every single soul because this right here is the best champion in Raid Shadow Legends, including all mythicals. And that might be a controversial statement, but I'll tell you why he's the best champion, because there is nobody in the game that can do everything in the game as well as Marius the Gallant. I use him everywhere. Everywhere. He is my minnow farmer, my campaign farmer. He clears all potion keeps on his own. He solo Spider 10 hard. He clears all of Doom Tower normal. He clears 50% of Cintranos. He's in my best Chimera team. He's in my best Hydra team. He is in my best, I think he's in my Sand Devil team. He's in every team. He's in my Fire Knight team. He clears those waves. He's in my Dragon team. He's in the Arena team. He's the best champion in the game by an absolute country mile. Why? Because he just has everything that is essential for the gameplay that you're doing right now. Enemy max HP has kind of risen back to the front in terms of boss damage. So things like Chimera damage, Hydra damage, enemy max HP is kind of winning. And he's the best enemy max HP champion in the game for that, in essence, because he does AoE enemy max HP 3 times. He also gives himself increased defense, increased accuracy. The passive is really, really good for Arena, and the A1 Enfeeble is great for wave carrying. And what does 6-star give you? Crushing Rend. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to put back on the relic that everyone should be hopefully getting at least one of. Hopefully you did the Titan event. I'm talking, of course, Cat's Gaze. Now, I have just picked up Piercing Strike, which gives me 12% more ignore defense when I kill an enemy. I already have Dungeon Diver on it. I already have multi-hits will deal more damage. Now, just a small note, this does not work in Chimera. Anything that says multiplicative damage in Chimera does not work. This will not work. This will not work. None of it works because of the way that enemy max HP works in Chimera. But in every other content piece in Arena, it does work. It's very good and it recalculates, right? This is what you need to know about this gemstone here. If you kill the first person in the team, the second person will then get that ignore defense. It recalculates. It's very powerful. There's a couple of ways you can build Marius. The best build probably isn't 9 Slayer. It's a very good 9 Merciless build. But if you don't have 9 Merciless, then 9 Slayer will beat any other form of Merciless. It's only because you get the extra turn with the chance to reduce cooldowns that Marius is very powerful, because generally speaking, guaranteed extra turns with a chance for an extra turn is very powerful. Champions like Whisper, champions like Mr. Adaithi, they get a lot more value from Relentless and from Merciless because they're guaranteeing themselves extra turns with certain abilities, so it gives you more opportunities to roll extra turn. So what I mean by this is if you take three champions, one of them has a guaranteed extra turn and 2 of them do not, and you take 3 turns, well, that extra turn is going to make it so that the champion that has an extra turn has 1 more chance at rolling Relentless. So it means it's effectively 25%, or in that case 33% more efficient, because I'll go attack 1, didn't roll it, attack 2, didn't roll it, attack 3, didn't roll it on 2 champions, but I get an attack 4 chance to roll Relentless, right? You can roll the Relentless set on the extra turn, because you're getting an extra turn essentially. So for someone like Marius, getting that 9 Merciless actually makes a big difference, because you might get a Merciless proc here, then go into extra turn. This extra turn gives you another turn into this turn. It's very powerful to cycle your way through. I've tried it with the 6-piece, it's not as good. Slayer generally wins on 9 versus 6-piece Merciless. If you can't get 9 Slayer or 9 Merciless, it's up to you. I still value Slayer purely because the 4-piece bonus for Marius when you put him in any other content is very good. If you're just building him for very niche single target, then you don't get that value. Hydra, you'll get 20% every single time he attacks, 20% faster speed. In Arena, 20% turn meter returns is a very big deal. Getting back around to your A1s really, really helps. If he counterattacks, that's 20% turn meter, it can be a massive difference. Never underestimate the value of the 4-piece bonus with Slayer. It's more valuable sometimes than the 6-piece and the 9-piece bonus because of the way that it allows you to take more turns. Now, the good thing about his passive here is he's immune to turn meter reduction, and if you can protect him from getting stunned, he's quite a powerful Armand's and Ancora counter, because both of those will do some form of negative turn meter manipulation. He's very good into a 6-star temporal chains, almost to the point where I actually made a mistake by bringing Mikage with a 6-star temporal chains, because I now can never use her against Marius, because Marius will counterattack. So very, very strong counter to temporal chains, very strong counter to even Mikage's alternate form, and where she basically reduces turn meter. It's very strong. So how have I got him built here? Well, of course I got him on Cat's Gaze. You want Ignore Defense. One of the main things about building Marius for Hydra particularly is you never have enough Ignore Defense and crit damage, because it's so difficult to hit cap. You want to get as much Ignore Defense, as much crit damage as you can get. If you just bring a Slayer piece without any area bonuses, you're looking at something like 1500 critical damage. That's how much you need to hit cap. So whenever you think you have enough, you don't. That's the way to look at it. If you want to use him in arena, defense is valuable, but it's not essential. You'll see with my build, it's nowhere near like high defense, but it's more than adequate for doing a good damage build. Now the Cat's Gaze is best because you get defense and crit damage and also get more bonus ignore defense, like I mentioned. Crushing Ren is the way I've gone, 35% aura, fully book him. Masteries wise, we've gone for Helm Smasher, ignore defense really matters. And I've actually picked Sniper and I've picked Master Hexer because I really want to try and get his A1 Enfeeble rolling. The more opportunities I get for Enfeeble, especially with Master Hexer, if you can roll Enfeeble's Master Hexer, which does work, then sometimes when you counterattack, you get a 2-turn Enfeeble. That's enough to really be a problem for the enemy. They can't do anything. If you put him with someone like Carnage, you basically lock the team down. And in terms of the gear, now I've got some godly Slayer pieces here. Okay, this is the best Slayer on my account, and I've got some very strong accessories. I've got a triple speed banner. I've got a crit damage with accuracy. It's very rare to get that. Now the ring is totally useless. The ring does absolutely nothing apart from that defense percentage for Marius, but it is what I've got. You know, I could switch the attack. I just haven't bothered. I've tried to re-roll it. It doesn't really matter. If another Slayer pass comes around, I'll try and get a better ring. But essentially, at the moment, my Merciless gear is equally as bad as the Slayer ring. So we're kind of locked into just it's a rubbish ring for the sake of it. Now I've prioritized pretty much crit damage and speed. I just got this piece from the last Forge set, which is incredibly powerful. It is a bit low rolly at 26, but it's still really, really strong. We're going crit damage across the board. You can see heavy focus on crit damage and speed, right? I want to go fast and I want to go high crit damage. That puts him in this region of 326 speed, 385% crit damage, 4.6k defense, and 63k HP. Now, one thing you will notice is I still haven't got crit damage gloves. So this is down 20% crit damage. When I put that in, we will be at 405% crit damage. This is crazy builds, okay? This is a crazy build. Don't have to be as crazy as what I'm at, and you will still have good success when you see how I use him. But this is a very strong build. I'm fully aware that this is like a Kraken build, that this is very difficult for people to achieve, but the soul and the Cat's Gaze is helping a lot here, right? Those are giving me a good 70% of this crit damage or 60% of this crit damage. It's a big factor. So some basics first. Where is he really good at? Well, the first straight away is there is no campaign stage that this guy cannot defeat. He can defeat the hardest content in the game for campaign. Now, campaign is not exactly a high threshold of difficulty, but if you're in the mid game, you probably haven't got Marius yet. If you're in the late game and sort of end game, you're starting to look towards progressing through Marius missions. Pretty much he's one of the fastest Nightmare campaign farmers out there. I use him to farm all of my minnow and potion keeps with food. And recently what I've started doing, CVC's on right now, you can pretty much do this. I can go into here, I can pick 1-star champions, and I can solo Spider 10 hard in 6 turns, effectively. You make sure you do an A3 open because you want the extra spiderling, and then you can just do crazy damage. You almost one-shots the boss. It's absolutely disgusting how strong this is. And again, remember we've got him in Slayer. So every single spiderling he's hitting, look how much speed he's getting. Times 9, 5%. He's getting extra turns from the Slayer proc. This is what I mentioned about Slayer 4-piece being very valuable in the right situation. It's not always 8 turns. It depends if he gets Cycle of Violence. If he's lucky and he gets Cycle of Violence, we basically can do this in 6 turns, which I know a lot of people out there will say, hey, you don't want to lose too much on turn meter tournaments. I agree, but pretty much it's very rare that he doesn't get some form of Cycle of Violence or counterattack, because the Queen will try to drop his turn meter as well, which is a big factor here. We'll probably have not quite again, but I've been able to do this in 5 or 6 turns. And you can do a bit of prioritization here if you wanted to do a team AI to basically save yourself turns. But this is how I now do Spider, whether it be normal or whether it be Nightmare, or, whether it be hard 10 for CVC, is we basically solo with food, right? There's a champion training on right now. I can basically do a really quick Spider run and do champion training. It's excellent for this. There's the 5 turn I was talking about, right? So we can do it in 5 turns. Great, we pick up some points there. So that's what we use them in. Sand Devil, again, I've started using Aneri again because basically I was having some issues around speed tuning. I wanted him to go much faster. I was kind of hard capped by bringing Aneri in. It doesn't matter if the boss wakes up, where before he was kind of hard capped at being about 370 and 270 and no faster. With this setup here, we can basically go sleep, burn, double max HP, wake the boss up. That doesn't really matter if everyone dies. She revives Newt and we win the fight, pretty much. And again, you'll see the damage that Marius does here. It's very strong. Now, the boss is obviously capping at 10% max HP, but the Slayer procs can happen on top of that. This is where the Slayer is great. He revives him. Great. There you go. 7 turns. Super fast. And this is a 100% team. Even if we don't land the speed, because Aneri is in there, Aneri and Newt will carry it if we don't manage to land it. So most of the time, it will be a 7-turn team. Sometimes, if we don't land the sleep, it will be 50 turns or something, because we have to go through that whole process. Now, probably where I'm using him the most now, and where this is actually disgusting, is Finite Hard. The pace in which this guy will clear this wave is disgusting. He one-shots any wave without increased defense, and it is beyond overpowered for this kind of thing. This is Finite Hard waves. Okay, the Finite Hard wave is easy. The boss is not. We basically can just clear the wave in 10 seconds, and we're right onto the boss. And now it's just a case of setting up the teams. We're using the 6-star Cold Heart here, or I think a 5-star Cold Heart, so we do get a good amount of Phantom Touch procs. And we're using Martyr's Shield with Faultless Defense, with increased defense here to basically keep us alive. Martyr's in a shield set. She kind of absorbs the first damage. We get some procs there, and then we can start seeing, look how much damage he's doing. He's hitting cap without decreased defense or weaken. It is absolutely disgusting. And all we're doing now is we're just waiting for him to get his abilities back. And we did it in 51 seconds because we are going to finish it with Soul Reap. There you go. 51 seconds, 22 turns Finite Hard. And it's mainly because Marius can just kill the wave in seconds. You don't have that 2-minute debt or 1-minute debt you normally get with trying to get through the wave. You can pretty much almost clear all of Dragon 10 Hard on his own. The only issue is he takes extra turns. So often you will have a problem here where he will take a turn, get poisons. That poison will eventually kill him. But this is the hardest hard dungeon wave of all of them, Dragon. Ironically, in normal dungeons, Dragon's the easiest and Fire Knight's the hardest. In hard dungeons, it's the other way around. Dragon waves are the hardest ones to kill, the highest defense. But here, basically, the problem is this. If you're not careful, he will extra turn himself to death because of the poisons. So it's a bit, I always bring Ruach just to basically make sure that it kind of adds a bit of solidity to the team. So, but again, look how quickly he's just annihilated. 21 turns. Honestly, there's nothing that can stop Marius. He's Marius the Great, not Marius the Gallant, Marius the Great. So from a dungeon perspective, I pretty much use him in every single dungeon, apart from Ice Golem. Haven't really been able to figure out how to do it in Ice Golem yet, but with Finer, I have some clever ideas as to how I can do it. Potentially. That's some ideas I've got. Now, in terms of Live Arena, I use him almost all the time. He's now my first pick. I pick him before Armand's. I pick him before anything else. If I get first pick, it is always Marius. And I'm going to be first picking. Now, the only downside in Live Arena, of course, is it's a 6-star Marius. And people have cottoned on to the fact that Marius now is really, really OP. When he first came out, I rushed to get him. The first number of people that were getting him, people are like, it's Marius, it's not so much of a problem. Armand's is a big problem. Galath is the big problem. Marius is almost perma-banned for me these days. Over a 6-star Mikage, over Carnage, over Lamasu's, and over all these other exclusive champions. Pretty much Marius is perma-banned on my side. And he probably will be here because he's picked 2 mythicals. The moment you see an enemy pick lots of mythicals, you almost know you're going to get perma-banned on the Marius, because you try to change form, Marius absolutely dominates you. But we'll see. Maybe COT007 is going to allow us to showcase Marius in Arena. We're going to actually take away the Armands. He's going to ban my Marius. We know it's going to happen. He might ban the Mikage, but it's probably going to be the Marius. There it is. The Marius is taken out. But it's actually not a terrible idea, because my Mikage is the fastest champion on my account. Really, really fast with over 400 speed. So it means that I absolutely take control. And normally Carnage on his own is equally as bad to face in Arena, because he does have block active skills. He can take away a lot of passives. And I should be fast enough here to that basically just go, hey, Galathir, let's put some pressure on you. Now, it didn't quite work here, but it's okay because we've got stone skin on everyone, so we have a chance to stay alive. I've not really fought a lot of Aileals in a while, so I might mess this up without trying. We'll see. Lockout is not too much of a problem. I think she did manage to get my Lamasu's, though, unfortunately. That's the only downside we did unfortunately lose Lamasu's. But hey, let's see. See if we can get rid of some stone skins. We didn't. We got rid of some stone skins. That's pretty good. We can go into alternate form, and we can just try to rip up some of these enemies. We took out one. We got stunned. Now we have a revive. As long as we don't lose Noel, we can always revive Carnage. Shouldn't be a problem. He's choosing who he goes for. That was an AoE stun. Woke me up, but that's interesting. Goffred is a bit of a threat. I think he can just one-shot my team. We're okay so far. This will be a revive. Oh, I would revive it anyway. But we can try to take control here now. We did get polymorphed, which is a shame. And I think Crixia will be able to win. So we're probably going to lose this fight because Crixia is just going to take control. She's going to cleanse everyone. And she's going to basically reset their abilities, right? So it's going to be a bit too difficult for us to win. If we didn't have that cleanse, it would have been fine. But this is the only downside with Marius now. This build that I've got, yeah, he's strong. I've got a 6-star Marius. It's great. But it does mean that we are somewhat... I don't think it's going to work. I was just trying to revive. He's just going to instantly kill my Carnage again. It does mean that it's somewhat impossible to pick anymore because it will just result in a permaban pretty much all the time. Like, we could try one more fight here, see if we can get Marius through, but it'll probably be a permaban because people see a 6-star Marius and they realize the threat and they stop it at source. Sometimes it's good to build a counter to champions. Like, Armands is a great champion you can build a counter to because you can beat him via affinity, you can beat him via intercept, you can beat him via some really powerful character champions now, like Lamasu's is a very good counter to him, and Korra is a pretty good counter to him as well. Or you can try to out-resist him. Those are very solid options. Stone Skin as well, right? It forces him to use his A3, not his A2. So you can deal with Armands in a couple of different ways if you purpose build a team for him. If you try to like hodgepodge a build against him, it's a lot harder. But if you actually build to counter to Armands, it's quite easy to do. It's very hard to do that with Marius because he has so much in his kit that even if he gets one attack, it can really damage you. Now in this situation, he's going full 6-star speed gear. So I gotta be careful. Like, I'm pretty sure my Mikage can beat his Siphi. He's actually gone crazy speed. Not sure we're gonna win the speed race here. We'll see. We kind of need to take the Armands out because if he does win the speed race, we're never gonna get a turn. So this is one of those rare cases that someone decided to ban Noel. Maybe doesn't realize that Noel got bug fixed now. But that is the only reviver I've got. So he's probably hoping he goes first, one-shots me, and that's it. But he's got to beat my Mikage. Does manage to beat my Mikage, which is rare, but I have got Mikage in Supersonic. So now we've got some options. We can try to take out a damage dealer, but I'm just going to basically try and switch form. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get rid of some buffs. We got rid of all of them. It might not work because we're probably going to get frozen. But as long as we don't instantly get one shot, we do have Lamasu's here. And this is where Lamasu's is very powerful with Armands. As long as Lamasu's is available, I can just go this full cleanse when the game lets me do this. Full cleanse, full 50% turn meter, and now they are in deep trouble because Marius is about to absolutely wreck them, and there's nothing you can do. And this is the thing with Marius. If you let him through, if he gets one turn, you're in trouble. One turn, you're in trouble. And Lamassu is really great as a support because can't be polymorphed, so you don't need to bring any sort of sheep protection. In Stone Skin, if you can't get rid of the Stone Skin, you're in trouble. If you can't lock her out, you're in trouble because she's going to basically, if you lock out that Marius, she's going to reset his cooldowns. She's going to give him intercept, so even on his A3, he can't polymorph himself. She's going to give him 50% turn meter, and if you bring the relics, you can really set it up so that Marius can get like 60-70% turn meter. That allows you to cut in. So that's how I was able to win there. Supersonic sets for Mikage, and then Lamassu basically cleansing and giving turn meter. But the moment he gets one turn, you know, that's it. You're kind of in trouble, really. He's an absolute monster in Arena, and I've already run my Hydra team so far. I've got to make sure I actually get this in 22 minutes because actually we're a bit behind here. I've already run him in Nightmare here. You can see I did 595 million. It is all Marius. 393 million damage in this team. 595. It's all Marius pretty much. He one-shots all the enemies. This is where this Slayer set really benefits because you're going to be able to get 20% turn meter every single time you A1 or A2. You're pretty much guaranteeing yourself to go 20% faster permanently. And that's a lot of speed, so it's really worth it. The only other place that I would definitely show, and the other big place that obviously he's getting a lot of attention right now is in, of course, Chimera, right? Chimera is now the big new area to really focus on. And I'm fortunate enough that I've got Finer. And Finer means that I can do ram form, which is obviously very difficult to do if you don't have anyone that can do block damage. This is the team that I pretty much run now, and you will see that I can actually do tremendous amounts of damage without even needing decreased defense or weaken out because I've got Cat's Gaze, and he's pretty much near enough getting to he's pretty much getting to enemy max HP cap, right? There's no weaken, there's no decreased defense. We can go straight away, and we're already doing 1.2 million, right? 1.2 million already. That's very powerful. Now, the only things that you can do to improve damage here is weaken, decrease defense, ignore defense, increase crit damage buff, and critical damage buffs. Those are the only things that can really improve damage. If you bring protection, that doesn't work here. Protection sets won't give you more damage. Feral won't, but there we go. 1.6 million damage we're hitting there now. 1.6 million damage. It's crazy strong. There's only a few champions in the game that can really compete with this. It's probably Carnage and probably Toshiro, and maybe a fully decked out ninja, I would say. A fully decked out ninja. But this team has got basically multiple resets in the sense that we've got Finer, we've got Lamassu resetting, and also he's going to do his A3. So we can kind of do A2 reset, A2 reset, A2, A3, A2 kind of combo, and it's really, really powerful. Pretty much my record of this team right now, I can bring it up to kind of show you, and that's just an example of the damage. So this is the damage that I did last week. I was able to do 284 million Ultra Nightmare, which is a very high score. I mean, this was my first run. I kind of messed up RAM a few times. It did about 8 or 9 trials, but I could do more. I could do probably about 10, and this is all because Finer enables ram form, so you're actually able to do enemy max HP damage without one-shotting yourself. It really does help. But this is the kind of potential you can do when you really push Marius to the nth degree. And this is why I'm saying he's the best champion in the game, pretty much. There is nobody apart from maybe a Toshiro, maybe a Carnage, maybe a good ninja, and a couple of others. Maybe if you've got like a Senna team, you can kind of compete with it. But most Senna teams kind of use Marius anyway, and it's just really, really strong. Newt doesn't really come close to this. Like, he gets to about 200 mil, maybe 280 mil. He can't compete with Marius's rotational power here. So this is the team that I run so far. I'll be running it again this week, see if I can push even higher. The nice thing about this team now is I'm able to do 4 billion in 1 week twice, which means I can get the 8 billion chests every single week, which means you'll get more gemstones. Right now, gemstones by far are the most valuable resource of the relics because they're the ones that are going to be able to define what you can do with certain things. For example, having more boss slayer gemstones is going to be really good, same as dungeon delver here. Having the ability to use something like rolling force where you increase your ignore defense for every subsequent hit you do, that's very good for someone like Marius who hits multiple times. Having this constant onslaught to get more turns, these are really the key aspects of the gemstones. The gemstones are what define a relic's power, not the relic itself. In an ideal world, you'd have a Stormcaller with him, double triangle, double circle, gets to the Stormcall buff, you stun everyone. If you can get a Marius in Stormcall, he's pretty much unstoppable because he'll AoE crowd control waves as well. He's just unstoppable. So I've basically unlocked a new power curve. Now, the only downside to all of this video, the only negative I would say, there's not much that can compete with Marius when they come out of the vaults, the newer champions. It's very difficult to find someone that can surpass his power. So it'll be interesting to see how things progress. But there you go. Marius the Gallant. I've unlocked the supreme power. He is Marius the Great, Marius the Best. Let me know in the comments below, guys. How are you getting on with trying to get Marius? Have you kind of put it on the back burners? I would say, you know, it's a long grind, but try to push. Try to do the effort. Work your way through it. Because if you can get Marius, you have so much more potential to push other areas. It's really, really big. And it just means that it's, you know, it's a good objective to aim for. It might take you a while. Work your way towards it. You don't need to rush like I did. You can work your way up towards it. You will eventually get those mythical chest pieces, those mythical boots. You will eventually get the Immortal Essence. All I would say is if you're on that Immortal Essence, Sunday is the day. It might be worth 150 gems every Sunday while you're chasing it, because if you can get a few Essence, that can really speed it up for you. Let me know in the comments below, guys, how are you using your Marius? What kind of sets are you? Are you actually preferring the 9 Merciless? Are you preferring different relic combinations? What gemstones are you on the lookout for? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.